The question is, where do you stand on the option of a 2 a.m. closing time for lounges in Wolfville? Further, what is your position on dining room seats in a licensed establishment being converted to lounge seats after 9 p.m.? And again, 1 minute per answer, please.
I've been talking to a fair number of the bar owners on this question. Part of their stance is a 2 a.m. closing time could alleviate some of the immediate bar rush when the outflow bar rush when the bar closes at 1 a.m. Part of the vandalism and just noisiness that Wolfville has is partly because everybody comes pouring out of the bar all at the same time. If the bar was open until 2, that may spread it out a little bit more. Everywhere from talking to the lounge owners, most other places in Canada have a much later close off. So it seems like it could be a viable alternative. It could be a useful position, and instead of making problems worse, which I know a lot of people are afraid of, it could spread that kind of outflow out over a longer period of time and thus alleviate some of the difficulties. Thank you.
Rachel, can you repeat that question?
Sure.
If I can find it.
I know
Yes.
there's something about closing hours.
Yeah. Where do you stand on the option of a 2 a.m. closing time for lounges in Wolfville? Further, what is your position on dining room seats in a licensed establishment being converted to lounge seats after 9 p.m.?
Well, here's an example of how this forum is nothing like it would like to be on council. On council, we'll have briefs and people presenting. If I'm going door to door, I might say, tell me more. With that kind of question, it's really tricky. But I'll tell you where I'm coming from. On the Community Development Committee, we did discuss the later closing hours. It was an option for us to consider. One of the things that spoke very strongly to me is that I couldn't find a single study showing that more access to alcohol led to less harm reduction. The more access to alcohol human beings have, the more they're likely to get in cars and drive, the more likely they're to get in trouble. So what we compromised with was a 6 times a year special license. The bars in Wolfville can stay open till 2, and that's what we'll take a look at. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is before council. This issue keeps on appearing again and again. It's not necessarily just the bars that are the problem. It's the houses and the apartments where a lot of this problem with alcohol occurs. So it's a bigger problem than just bars. Fooling around with the closing hours of the bars isn't going to resolve all the other issues. We have a committee that's now looking at alcohol and how to reduce abuse of alcohol, and it has students, Acadia reps, all kinds of people. It's coming up with recommendations that I think are really good, and I embrace those. On the simple aspect of extending or hours, I think a lot more thought needs to be put into than one answer right now.
Okay, thank you very much. Our next question is going to go to Gary, Jeff, and Keith. The question is, what are your feelings about building permits being issued to out-of-town developers who want to build mega-unit apartment buildings when we have such a huge number of empty apartments for rent in town?
Gary?
I love this question. As a former chairman of planning, I think I go back to the 1980s, and I think we're now at that same point in time in history that we clearly need to revisit our land use bylaw. We need to look at special development agreements, how they are utilized. Do they protect the builder, or do they protect the town? I think this is one area where you talk about standards and the values of the town. And so we need to look at those very, very carefully. I do agree on the development of the commercial downtown, but at what stake? Overall, we need to look at this very carefully. Protect Wolfville first. Protect families first.
Typically, developers are building or constructing or innovating their entrepreneurial skills where market drives it. The market is driven, I guess, by populations, by growth, by centers of growth. If your land use bylaw and municipal planning strategy allows it, and that's why it's reviewed regularly, is to make sure we're dealing with those particular issues. If the documents that deal with your zoning allow it, then I see difficulty in trying to either restrict or attract more on a single purpose. Your legislation, your municipal legislation that deals with this governs that particular issue, and it is market driven.
Yes, I would agree with Jeff Cantwell. It is market driven, and I think we have to be very careful that we don't interfere with the market. If somebody had come and said we're going to do a grocery store the size of Carl's once, we might have all jumped up and said, well, that's market disruption. We can't afford a second one. Carl's business has gone up. I think we need to take that attitude with respect to new developments. Those are opportunities for us. That said, we have to ensure that our planning documents are very clearly articulating what our values are. We want to ensure that new developments fit into this community, that are assets to this community and don't detract from the community. So the regulation enforcement, the consideration of our architectural guidelines in those particular zones, and our planning documents are key. Thank you.
Okay, this next question is going to go to Carl, David, and Wendy. Are you satisfied with the service we are presently receiving from the RCMP? Why do they not report to council?
Well, I sit on the Wolfville Police Advisory Board, and I think the RCMP do a fairly decent job here in the town of Wolfville. I think there's some areas that they could do better on. I think the level of service we get is very good. We have I think we're fortunate that we have also the detachment in New Minas, which brings tons of backup. I know, talking to Sergeant Powell, that if there's something going on here in Wolfville on a weekend or this homecoming, they're already prepared to have backup with the New Minas detachment, and they're always getting prepared for weekends that are coming up. So I think that the police are fairly doing a decent job here in Wolfville. Could they do better? They could probably do a little better, but I think overall they're doing a good job.
Thank you for that question. Am I satisfied? By and large, I am. I would have to say that it's by and large, I would have to say that since we have the RCMP, there's a much better relationship between the Acadia Safety and Security and our police force. That has been demonstrated time and time again at the Committee Living Issues Committee, which I'm sitting on. Also, as Carl mentioned, we have this capability that we didn't have before with just the town police, that we can call on heavy nights. We can call on the RCMP detachment in New Minas and elsewhere. We have access to bomb squads. We have all kinds of services we never had before. So overall, it's been a very beneficial thing to have the RCMP in town. However, I should say there's always room for improvement, and the days that I have seen the RCMP on the streets, I think has been very beneficial, and we need to encourage that. And last but not least, they do report to council. That is a misnomer. You need to know they do report to council.
Thank you, and thank you for that, David, because I thought they did as well, so I won't answer the third part of that question. But in terms of the experience that we have had as residents in the core of dealing with the police, they've always responded well and have been good to work with. That said, I think that there may be either an under-resourcing at some times of the local police, or they may be so busy with other things in the town that when we have a serious issue with a very loud party or a fight or something that's happening in our neighborhood, it may not be the most important thing that they're dealing with. I would very much like to see, and I believe at one time the town had bicycle patrols or foot patrols. I would like to see that return to Wolfville, particularly at times of the year when we can all anticipate there are going to be extra issues. Thank you.
Okay, next, and this is once again for Dan, Mercedes, and Hugh. What are your feelings about the state of our roads and curbs? What do you plan on doing about them?
Wonderful to go first again.